Rudy is on your left. Both these players 4-1 here this weekend. Now, Green White Tokens, you know, it's weird. I want to call it a new deck. It's not actually a new deck. It's an old deck. But some changes in the metagame and some bannings have made this into a new deck. Gideon and Nissa are back together side by side, and they're doing some good work so far this weekend.
Yep, and Heart of Kieran's also a new addition. It's kind of a Smuggler's Copter replacement, but it is quite good at taxing Planeswalker.
Rudy not starting this game with a lot of cards. He's on 4 to start. That's not very many. Oh, well, he must have scryed to the top.
And a mulligan to 4 against blue-black control is really bad news.
Yeah, it's not great.
Very likely Davis is able to take his time, pick Briksza apart, and eventually leverage his extra cards.
A swamp from Jim, and he'll pass turn back. Walking Bliss is going to walk on over and deal Jim 1. Rudy will follow up with an Oath of Nissa. Top 3. See what Rudy wants to select. He'll go with Rishkar, Pima Renegade, a card a lot of people are excited about.
Oh, I think this card's the real deal.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just keep getting killed early on in the game without a lot of interaction, maybe not the best. But I think the ceiling on this card's very high.
A fatal push there from Jim, I believe, took care of the Walking Ballista. Of course, Jim took 1 on the exchange. Now for Rudy, he will play Rishkar, Pima Renegade. So 2-2. When there's the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on up to 2 target creatures. Each creature you control with a counter on it has tap at a green mana. Jim's going to kill that with a Horribly Awry, and by kill, I mean exile. And now Jim will play an island, pass the turn back. This is the most Jim Davis deck I've ever seen.
Play a land, answer your play, play a land, answer your play, play a land, answer your play. All right, Jason, Raveler of Secrets, and then
some Planeswalker or whatever, or
Yep.
some creature. Rinse, repeat until you submit. The only thing Jim hasn't had the opportunity to do yet is draw cards. Here's another Gideon. I think this one might get disallowed. Yeah,
Sure.
Nope. Davis will draw. Still doesn't have land number 5. He drew a copy of Confirmed Suspicions.
He is going really deep.
That's very Jim. Well, we got a little something here. What do we got here? Lambhold Pacifist.
That's dead.
Yeah, eventually.
Don't even get it out of the box.
Yeah. Picking it up. So can I put this away?
I mean, Jim's missing land drops. What else could it be?
Yep.
His deck's just counter spells and removal.
Yep, murdered.
Yeah, it's dead.
Yep.
Murder it.
Draw a card. Land 5. Ah, that's it. Confirm Suspicions.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
That is it. Jim will draw. Land 6. Sunken Hollow. Nope. Well, maybe.
Yes.
Bring it on the screen. 5 mana, counter your spell, investigate. Not once, not twice, but thrice. Everyone has something to hide. Jim has 3 Max McVitie Clue tokens and a Torrential Gearhawk now.
Oh, sweet.
Clue flooded.
Please draw any spell.
Oh, Clue flooded. Torrential Gearhawk.
Do I want a Torrential Gearhulk this Confirmed Suspicions? I guess.
I guess. Yep. We have.
I guess.
Jim Davis does win game number 1 here over Rudy Briksza.
Jim Davis, don't ever change.
No, please don't. Blue-black control of a game over green-white tokens. The funny thing is, was Jim actually thinking about the Torrential Gearhawk? Yes, because he never gets too far ahead of himself. We want to see this happen.
Yeah, it's like, maybe it's better to just crack some clues and Ruinous Path it and then wait, might as well think about it.
Yeah.
But that play looked pretty safe to me. I like tapping out, like getting thrown on the battlefield, 3 more clues.
Yeah.
Good turn.
It's a good place to be in. We're going to start with Rudy's sideboard here. 3 Declaration Stone, 2 Tireless Tracker, 2 Blessed Alliance, and a lot of one-ofs here. And a Johnny Unyielding, Heroic Intervention, a Linvala, the Preserved. I haven't seen that one for a while. Fumigate, Quarantine Field, Fragmentize, Decommission, Archangel Avacyn. Talk to me.
Archangel Avacyn, Ajani Unyielding, 2 copies of Tireless Tracker. Basically just more threats. Anything that generates card advantage, any extra threat, pretty solid in this matchup.
For Davis, 3 Dispel, 2 Kalitas, Trader of Get, 2 Ceremonious Rejection, 2 Fatal Push, 2 Deadweight, a Ruinous Path, a Sphinx of the Final Word, a Negate, and a Blighted Cataract.
So I like the Negate in this matchup a lot. I also like the Ruinous Path. I think Kalitas is probably above the board.
Okay.
there's enough small stuff on the other side of the battlefield that I think it's decent here. And I could see going with the Blighted Cataract. I imagine it's for matchups where the Blighted Fen's bad and you want to swap, or matchups where you just want an extra land.
Okay.
And the Blighted Fen's probably at its worst against the token strategy, so I could see making that swap.
Fair enough. Those are your options there for both players. Game number 2 going to be underway here in just a moment. Briksza will try to keep more than 4 cards. And while these players do sideboard and shuffle up, let's talk about the regional championships that are taking place on February 4th. I know everyone loves some Modern, at least I do. So it'll be Modern for February 4th weekend. Now, when you do sign up, free and exclusive playmat and token to the first 200 players at each location. The playmat is Howl of the Heavens. Ow!
What was that?
That was
a howl.
Ow!
And you lifted your head up towards the heavens.
Yes. Well,
The viewers at home didn't get to see that.
Ow! Can you howl at all?
I mean, maybe.
Yeah,
but
we're
not about to find out.
You also get a 2/2 wolf token as well. That one's howling,
Yes.
I believe.
Or spitting a fireball out, or swallowing fire, whatever.
At the Heavens.
Yes.
For sure. There are prize support, of course. You get some SCG points. You'll get qualification to our Roanoke Invitational weekend during Season 1. First place, $1,200. Pretty healthy stuff there. And then we got a lot of locations that are joining in on this tournament during Season 1, so that should be a lot of fun. I believe 12 locations in all. I've been to many of these stores, Nerd Rage Gaming. I know the Wasteland Gaming. Atlanta, you know them.
Yep, I do.
Go to starcitygames.com/regionals. One more howl. February 4th. Plant your flag.
Modern.
Best
With
format.
No Gataxian probes.
How's that make you
No
feel?
Golgari fills. I don't know. I think on one hand I'm happy to see it go because I think it's generally better for the format for it to be gone.
Okay.
But it does reduce the amount of that I get to make fun of people for not playing it for whatever reason.
That's true. That's true. Should be a lot more of those in decks. But I'm glad it's gone.
I had a good run of, what was it, 5 years?
I don't know if it's that long.
4 years? How long
It was
ago
at least 2 years. It was at least 2 years
How long
in
ago was
length.
New Phyrexia? New Phyrexia might have been about 5.
You might actually be right.
Yeah, because
a long time ago.
my one invitational top 8 was that format in Standard, and that was 2011.
That was a long time ago, actually.
Yeah. So half decade of making fun of people for one card. It's not bad. I got my mileage out of it. You know?
You did. That and pile shuffling.
Yeah.
You've planted your flag, that's for
Right.
sure. We're going to learn a little bit more about DJ JD right now. That is Jim Davis, the team captain of Team Metagame Gurus. Jim has had a very, very good 2016. We're going to see how his 2017 is going to be. First tournament of the year for Jim. He'll be playing at Pro Tour Ether Revolt in Dublin in a couple of weeks, so congratulations to him on that. 11 Open Top 8s for a 32-year-old from Long Island, New York. He's the DJ. He loves to stream. Awesome stream for him as well. I talked about Todd Stevens' streams. Jim has a good one, too. Loves himself some hockey. And, as you all know, 2015 SCG Players Champion. Curious to see what Jim's able to put together this year. He's going to be working kind of interesting balance between the professional circuit, the SCG Tour circuit. But I expect some more big things for Jim.
He's committed.
For sure. For sure.
He's invested, still running the team. Playing a tournament, I would guess, most weekends.
And hopefully more control like this. I talked to Jim this morning, too, actually. I think after round 3, and he's like, I don't really like my deck. I don't know. It seems fine. It's a Torrential Gearhulk deck. Doesn't seem bad.
Yep. Well, the problem is, you look at these numbers: 2 Fatal Push, 3 Grass Darkness, 4 Grass Darkness, 3 Murder, 1 Essence Distraction, 2 Ruinous Path, 3 Negate, 2 Horribly Rye, 4 Disallow, 1 Void Shatter, 1 Confirmed Suspicion. If you mess up those numbers, your deck can feel bad, even if at the end of the day you were only off by a handful of cards.
That's true. That's true. Well, Rudy's deck is also, I guess, more traditional, I would say. He does have some new cards. Let's learn more about him. Someone who we didn't see as much on the SCG Tour last year. 2 years ago we did, for the 27-year-old who lives in Baltimore, Maryland. 8 open top 8s, 2 victories. He'll give you the beatdowns in martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
This I know for sure. Played soccer in high school. He's a tattoo enthusiast as well. And he's got a mean beard in that photo.
Yes.
Not messing around.
That looks like a potential martial artist right there.
Yes. But I remember when I first found out of his martial arts background, I ribbed him about it a little bit, and then I found out he was very serious about it.
Oh, yeah.
I backed off quick.
Oh, yeah.
I backed down.
He is happy to escalate. Has been my experience talking to him and watching him around other people. Central Jersey product also.
Yeah.
Now lives in Baltimore, but.
Are you saying he's a big fan of collective brutality?
I
Give him the beatdowns. couple lands to start here.
Submerged Boneyard, also an indicator that someone means business. I showed up to do this.
Yeah. That one doesn't. I want to take a look at Submerged Boneyard really quick. I think it's just blue-black enters the battlefield tapped. Nothing else going on?
Just a Salt Marsh.
Okay. We just couldn't reprint Saltmarsh?
So the problem with that cycle of lands is it refers to particular places in the Magic universe.
All right.
Urborg Volcano, Shivan Oasis.
All right. Makes sense.
Elfheim Palace.
Just saying we're going to run out of words one day.
That has not. I don't think that's going to be. If anything kills Magic, I don't think it's going to be we ran out of words. I wouldn't worry about it.
All right, fine. Fresh out of words, can't name the cards anymore. Rudy sacrifices a clue. Here's an attack for 1. Get him, Thraben Inspector. Hello, Nissa. Probably not resolving.
Graveyard.
So what method is Jim going to put it in there? Negate it is. Let's go back over to Davis. He'll draw. Oh, boy. So when you said Kalidas maybe in the sideboard, so last year I played a lot of black-white control when green-white tokens was at its best. If you got to untap with Kalidas, you rarely lost.
Yes.
So Kalidas definitely coming in, and you've got plenty of removal like Murder and Grasp, and it's really tough. Now, no, there's no Hangerback Walker to kind of trump or anything like that, but Kalidas is huge against these decks. I'd be surprised if Jim doesn't tap out for it.
I don't know. This is a guy who almost didn't Torrential Gearhulk confirm suspicions against an opponent who mulliganed before had nothing in play.
It's true. There we go. There's a shoulder shrug. Play this. Dare you to beat it. You don't have to worry about anything like Dramoka's command. Declaration Stone probably shouldn't be in Rudy's deck. I think he's got a Quarantine Field in hand, I believe. Here's a Gideon. You have time to start taking care of that. It's a familiar play pattern for me.
You played a lot of white-black control?
Too much.
Yeah, that deck does not strike me as good or fun to play.
It was fine for a few weeks. Not my favorite deck, but Brad Nelson gave me a really good list for a Grand Prix in Minneapolis, so he's pretty smart.
Sure.
Pretty smart. There's an island. Yep. Well, now Jim is going to gain some life. And he can probably just leave up Disallow here and be comfortable.
I believe Disallow and Murder.
Yeah, pretty good spot. Forest, here for Rudy.
The Kalidas has Gideon pretty effectively checked. Davis has answers to potential follow-up plays. Gotta like his spot. A confirmed suspicions away from locking it up.
You get what you pay for with confirmed suspicions. If you get to resolve that, it's pretty tough to lose, I think.
Well, you have to resolve it and then play 4 more turns or to get your clues off.
Yeah, but you're probably okay.
And then you're in really good shape.
Davis draws land number 6, which means he's in a really good spot. Can play 2 spells. Could play something like Murder plus Activate Kalidas now. Murder plus Disallow. Is this Archangel Avacyn? Nah.
It's countered or killed.
Really pretty optimistic reaching in that box.
I think he just has to prove he owns it.
That's fine.
I think that's like the rule with the checklist cards.
It's pretty optimistic. Trigger Murder. Okay. Get a token.
And this is a big swing here because now Davis kind of starts pulling ahead a little bit.
Yeah, Archangel Avacyn gives indestructible, so token's going to stay. Yeah, he just gets to build more of an incremental advantage now. Quarantine Field? Nah. Nah, Disallow.
Well, this is kind of crap.
Jim want to get the trigger? I don't think there's any reason to.
Well, do you want it to be on the battlefield or in play?
Sure.
Is the question.
Sure.
I don't know if Briksza has, are there popular cards that pull enchantments out of the graveyard in Standard? I don't know. Nissa. Nissa gets back permanence, right? The 5-drop Planeswalker.
Yeah. Nissa Vital Force?
Yeah, maybe maybe you're supposed to leave it in play. I don't know.
It's a small thing. It could count, though.
Maybe some other thing I'm not thinking about. I don't know.
Beatdowns. Just trying to kill that Gideon.
That was sort of an arc that I had where, 2002, 2003, I used to know all that stuff. Like, what's the one card that I don't even know if it's in their deck that made me, that
You
would
think about it.
Right.
A little bit, yeah. Yeah.
And then I got to a point where I was like, it doesn't matter, and I don't even know. And then you
it
lose
does
games
matter.
to it.
Yeah,
and
then it does matter.
Then you're like, oh, I'm washed up, and I should not do this with my time.
It does feel good when you're zoned in and you know that, though.
Right. Oh,
It
definitely.
feels so good.
Absolutely.
Westvale Abbey's here. Will Jim ever kill the Gideon? Another Knight Ally here for Briksza, or is he going to turn up the heat? He's going to, he's not sure. He's got Westvale Abbey to be able to pump out some chump blockers now.
I mean, attacking is a tough way to do it, but I don't know if the token's doing very much for him either.
True.
Yeah, I think he came to the same conclusion.
All right, beatdowns. But Jim will draw. Third Cletus. Cletus flooded. Into Gideon, I imagine. Yeah, Westvale Abbey. Pay a life chump. Jim will gain some life because of lifelink.
So, it's slow, but Briksza is making some headway on this path.
It's working. Fortified Village to draw here for Rudy.
And also, Gideon's loyalty goes up on this path. So if Briksza is able to draw some creatures, let's say, he could get to a point where he can allow the Cletus just to hit once. If the goal here is to get to an activation of Westvale Abbey.
Torrential Gearhawk.
Oh, no.
That was a good draw.
Oh, no.
The fun's over. Rudy will draw. A Johnny? That's expensive.
One on the board.
Yeah? Beatdowns? This thump.
A lot of discipline there from Rudy to not cast the Ajani.
Yeah. Could have been really bad for him.
Really bad. I think this is still really bad,
Yeah.
but the alternative is worse.
Swamp the draw here for Davis.
I don't know if it's worth the discipline in that spot because I don't know if you're beating Torrential Gearhulk regardless.
Probably unlikely.
But it is a nice little bit of discipline there.
Make a chump blocker. Block the Torrential Gearhulk. Gideon's going to fall down to 2. Rudy will draw. Flooding out pretty bad. Just has a Johnny. Has Heart of Kieran now as well. Play that. Jim has disallow 2 Kalitas in hand.
Sure. I mean, I don't know if I'm fighting over this. Does not make inroads against Torrential Gearhulk. Although I guess now he's got 6/6 worth of body. Something.
6/6?
Heart of Kieran plus the token from the Gideon.
Oh, sure. Okay, I got you.
Matched up against 3 4s and 5 6s.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Not horrible.
Okay. Sam's going to, excuse me, Sam. Jim is going to sacrifice the Sam token to put 2 counters on the Kalitas. Draw Swamp.
So I'm fine with sending everything at the Gideon here, because even if Rudy goes and makes some block and gets something off the battlefield, I think he's likely to try to take care of the Kalitas, and then the backover Kalitases that have been rotting in your hand kind of free up.
Well, there's just a double chump.
And if he double chumps, the attack's fine too.
You're fine with that.
Yeah.
You get your life. You're clearing the board out a little bit here over time. And realistically, because Jim has this disallow, Rudy's got to cast a spell sometime.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's when it's going to be pretty good. Tireless Tracker.
Rudy is showing a ton of discipline too, though. He is trying to get this Johnny to resolve, doing everything he can.
It's believable that the last card in Rudy's hand is a land.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can easily believe last card is land, and he's going to play it and draw a card.
Mm-hmm. Now here's a Johnny. Did a nice job of holding that.
Yeah,
Really
that was a ton of discipline he showed.
Now Johnny's going to exile Kalidas. And now we're going to see if Torrential Gearhulk can get the job done. But now there's 2 Planeswalkers out here. A Johnny, for how expensive it is, once it's on the battlefield, it's actually pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Sunken Hollow here for Jim.
That was some impressive play by Briksza.
Yep.
He realized how important that Johnny was, and he did everything even in spots where he had nothing else going on.
Yeah, just continues to pass.
Yeah, a lot of discipline there.
Another Kalidas here for Jim. Torrential Gearhulk's going to go after something, I imagine.
And Briksza definitely played out for the discipline. Like, you know, I was questioning the play earlier. Can he even beat Torrential Gearhulk? And he's ahead.
Do you have to double block here?
Would you prefer just a chump?
Kind of. Mostly I just don't want to give Jim a token, but maybe I'm overvaluing that token a little bit.
Well, I'm not really that interested in Heart of Kieran at this point because Davis's life total is at 30. If you trade with a card, that's fine. And your leftovers are still tokens, so it's not like he's making any headway with the Kalidas long term anyway.
Okay. Plus the Johnny.
Also, Jim's been doing nothing for a while, and you may just assume at this point that his hand is nothing or extra Kalidases or whatever. And Briksza might have that as part of his decision making. I don't think Jim has anything.
Here's Nissa. He already made a token with Gideon. Make a plant with Nissa. Here's Heart of Kieran. And now all of a sudden, this seems like
Game has shifted
a little.
Game has shifted a little bit.
This seems like a game that's almost impossible for Jim to win. He's got to contend with 3 Planeswalkers. Sure, Ruinous Path. Okay, well that's a start. I think that might be a start.
He's got a lot of life to work with.
Mm-hmm.
I think you just got to get the Johnny off the battlefield.
That's the one causing the most problems.
That's the start. Because the other Planeswalkers are just kind of numbers on the ground, and Jim can potentially manage that sort of game. It's still going to be tough.
Well, if Jim just draws enough removal spells, Kalidas can manage that game.
Right.
Yeah. This is still very much a winnable game for Jim, and Ruinous Path was right on time.
Again, worth noting Davis's life total, a lot of life to work with here.
Looks like he's going to awaken Ruinous Path, targeting a Johnny. Rudy's got a question. So hopefully we'll have the opportunity to figure out what it is. But this game has taken a turn, to say the least.
Jim with a lot of life to work with, definitely behind on the table right now.
Absolutely.
But not a position he can't come back from. You know, if he's able to even find just an answer for the Heart of Kieran, then it's a bunch of stuff on the ground against a bunch of stuff on Davis's ground, and I think that's manageable because alpha strikes are very hard for Briksza at this point on the ground because if Davis is able to take some hits and kill some stuff, get a bunch of zombies for his trouble, gain some life with Kalidas, it's a hard way to wear Jim down. He's got to have an advantage in the air. So you stop the Ajani as the first order of business, then you take care of the Heart of Kieran, and then things are kind of settled down.
How have you liked Heart of Kieran so far this weekend?
Has not looked good.
No?
I mean, it's been, you know, only on camera so much and only in really one deck so far. But Crew 3 has been a real challenge at times.
Okay.
The fact that it's legendary has been a big problem at times. And the fact that it's just some numbers against Saheeli Rai Felidar Guardian has been a problem too. Doesn't appreciably add to your clock in that matchup because it converts 3 power into 4 power. You're only +1. It's sort of backdoor haste too, so it's a little bit more complicated than that. But I think it's more for, probably great in, say, the green-white mirror, because flyers are at a premium. It's a hard thing to kill. But I don't know if it's great in the more combo-oriented matchups.
Okay. So Runa's Path will take care of the Ajani. Swamp is a 4/4. Beatdowns are going somewhere. We just got to figure out where. All right, trade with 2 tokens.
Yeah, it feels like a pretty. I like Briksza's block there.
Virtuous Gear Hulk the draw.
Probably plays.
Start with a counter. Gideon will make a counter. Now all of a sudden Westville Abbey works its way into the equation too.
Yeah.
Which is not an easy card for Jim to get off the battlefield. Now sacrifice 5 creatures, 2 of which are going to get exiled, so Jim's going to get 2 zombies. Now here's Ormondal. We could have a real mess now. It could just be this really weird lifelinking battle.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't think Rudy attacked. I think he just did that and passed the turn back.
Probably wants to just cover his planeswalkers for 1 turn, then untap and make a bunch of chump blocking tokens.
Fatal push the draw here for Jim. Not too tough to turn on. Sacrifice a zombie. I think Jim can get Gideon dead this turn at least.
Well, doesn't it? If it involves getting the Kalidas into combat, then it's trouble.
Well, no Cleus into combat, but if he attacks with zombies into Gideon, whichever one Ormondal blocks, you just sacrifice.
Well, he can also use the Nissa to turn on the Heart of Kirin.
Very true.
So he has the 2 blockers.
So if he would have attacked with 3 zombies, he could have probably gotten it killed. It's like, yeah, I think we're going to see this. Yep. Now Jim is going to play a Fatal Push.
Okay, that makes it. This makes it very easy.
And now he gets another zombie. Ormondal's going to block. Yep, that's not going to do anything. Not going to gain any life. Now Gideon down. Okay, so we whittled that away. Rudy's going to sacrifice a clue, draw a card. He'll untap, he'll draw. Tracker, Walking Ballista, Virtuous Gearhulk.
Walking Ballista plus Virtuous Gearhulk is a bit of a combo too.
Pretty adorable. Ballista's pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
I like that card. I think it's a really good role player in this format through 5.5 rounds.
It's almost good enough on rate alone, and there are a lot of +1/+1 counter synergies and artifact synergies. So, and it happens to do good work against the Healy Rye. So I have to imagine it's going to be a player in the format for a while.
Really not sure what he wants to play. Now he's going to go with Virtuous Gearhulk. Counters are going to go here. Tracker will go there. And pump up the jam, yes. So Ormondal has 5 +1/+1 counters on it. I believe that's an attack for 14. All right, Jim, how do you handle this? Sacrifice a zombie token. Put 2 more counters on Kalidas. Davis will untap. Davis will draw. Negate. We'll see where that's going to go. I imagine towards Nissa. Yep, and Rudy's going to let that die right away. So Jim will gain 7 life. Well, no blocks, so sacrifice a zombie, get some life.
Yeah, and these 2/2 tokens are worth almost nothing here.
Yep.
I mean, one can chump off the tireless tracker on the way back, I suppose, but Davis wants to gain as much life as he can in this exchange.
How's Jim going to beat Ormondal?
If the Blighted Fen is still in his deck, and he can kill everything else.
That's the out?
I don't know, you tell me. I mean, I'm not
I don't like that. 2 grasp. Well, nope. It has more innate toughness now. Never mind. That used to be the old. That used to be the old out for black-white control players. Gonna be tough. Oh, Jace, bounce it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Okay.
One copy of Jace.
One copy of Jace. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Ormondale doesn't have hexproof because you can anguish on making it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Jace bounce it is an out. All right.
Well, it's an out in that it interacts, but there's still other long-term
Oh yeah.
considerations.
Oh yeah. Temporary solution. Thalia, Walking Ballista in hand. 4/4 Walking Ballista. Resolves. That also can stop Jim from gaining life. Draw card. Fatal Push.
The Fatal Push allows him to shoot down the Ballista and get in some lifelink damage this turn.
I don't think.
But I
enough,
think
though.
Rudy's coming back across for so much.
Yeah, with Rudy at 44
Right.
too. He is safe and sound. So some good play there from Rudy Briksza, getting that Johnny to stick, and that leads him to a victory here against Jim Davis. Green-white tokens, blue-black control going to game number 3.
Showed a lot more discipline in that spot than I would have been able to.
Yeah.
I would have just gone for it, but Rudy understood that card's value, waited until he could bait out the counterspell at Davis. The Tireless Tracker was a perfect draw. With Rudy sitting on one card in hand he hadn't played for a long time, it just looks like a land, which is enough incentive there for Jim to counterspell the Tireless Tracker. That opens the door for Ajani, and the advantage there. Took a long time. Ajani wasn't in play when the game ended, but that right there was the key card.
Take a look at the sideboards here one more time as Jim is going back to the drawing board. Rudy giving it a look. Anything stand out to you on either side before we talk about our Infinite Challenge package?
No, I mean, I like the cards that Rudy had there, the Tireless Trackers, the Ajani. I think the Quarantine Field is justifiable if you're really that worried about Cletus, which makes some sense. The Archangel Avacyn, on the other side, the Cletuses were solid. Obviously, you don't want all three, but the first one did some pretty good work. The issue removal spells are solid as well.
Well, the options there for both players. Jim Davis is going to be on the play. Obviously, a spot he wants to be in with his control deck that has a lot of counter spells. Better on the play than it is on the draw. So we will watch them play in just a moment here. But let's talk about the Infinite Challenge package that we do have here on the SCG Tour. It's been a huge success at Grand Prix, so we've brought it over here as well. Each $80 two-day package includes entering into all challenge events all weekend long. So if you can't make the main event, you can't make the Classics on Sunday, but you still want to play a ton of Magic, you certainly can do so over the course of 2 days. Plenty of formats to be played as well. And, of course, you get an exclusive StarCityGames.com playmat, either Smuggler's Copter, either Vial, or Gamble. Take advantage of our expanded side event schedule with an Infinite Challenge package today. Go to StarCityGames.com/schedule for more information. You can also get ready to find the Infinite Challenge package at Grand Prix Orlando.
When is that?
We're announcing the details next Friday.
When is it?
In March.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Some friends of mine were, Chad Castell was trying to get me to come out to that one.
Yeah. That's the only way you can drag me to Florida is if there's a tournament there. I don't want to go see Chad for no reason, but there is a tournament, so I'll go down there and see Chad a little bit. Last time I was down there, we got hit by another person on our way to a Marlins baseball game. So there's just no rules down there. No rules. Though I got to say, Marlins Park, delightful.
Yep.
It is really nice.
I went to a game there.
It is really, really nice.
Really nice. And cheap.
Also true. No one's there to watch baseball.
Yep.
Looks like Jim's going to take a mulligan here.
And in my granted relatively limited experience, best mojitos in baseball.
Best mojitos?
Yeah, it's at Marlins Park.
All right, I buy it. I buy it.
If that's a thing you're into.
They're okay. I'm not passionate about it.
No,
They're okay. Jim will be taking a look at 6 cards here in just a moment. Rudy happy with his 7. Jim will scry. And to the bottom. Here we go for game 3. Jim going to leave Fatal Push up. Choke Estuary is what he started things off with. There's an island. 3-1 Inspector. There's a clue. Nothing here for Davis. He'll draw. Ruinous Path, an island. Pass the turn back over to Briksza. Briksza will draw. Johnny Unyielding. Won in the last game. We'll see if it does it again this game, as here's an attack for 1. A forest and Thalia. That's in there too. Davis will draw. Swamp. Timely.
Really big pickup there. Was desperate for untapped black mana.
Now, Jim has Ruinous Path. He's got Negate. I believe he's got his Confirmed Suspicions, all that stuff. But I think the most important card in his hand, yet again, is Kalidas. Even though it didn't play out that way in the previous game, I still think it's his best card in the matchup.
And this is the deciding point in the game for decks like Blue-Black Control. Do you leave up your mana and try to react to things, or do you just put Kalidas on the table and hope that Briksza's follow-up is not that good? Because Jim's hand is mostly sorceries anyway, I think I'd rather play the Kalidas.
I also just don't want to pass when I'm behind on the board.
It'd be one thing if he had a murder in his hand, and a negate, let's say. So he could say, okay, I'll take the hit. If he taps out for a planeswalker, cool, I'll counter it. If he casts a creature, I'll murder it or whatever. But with a hand at sorcery speed anyway, you got to move it forward. You can't burn off all that mana.
Rudy's drawn a land here. He has plains. So we could see Gideon in just a second. Beatdowns for 3. Gideon. Both players have their premier 4-drops. Let's go back over to Davis. Davis will draw Swamp. Still think that's good. Now he's got Ruinous Path plus Negate available, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's not a bad spot. You know, he can start interacting and start playing 2 cards a turn. I bet there's part of him that kind of wants to pass here, because it's not like Briksza's so far ahead on the board that it's insurmountable, and you kind of just want to confirm suspicions.
Yeah, you'd love to be able to do that.
But I think Jim is just going to manage it a little bit at a time here. If he can get ahead on the table just with Kalidas, then things get really good.
This is a really good spot here for Jim, because there are a lot of things that Rudy could have played that turn that he couldn't counter.
Yes.
But he played one that he could, and that means that Jim gets out of that turn starting to be able to stabilize.
This is a really good spot here for Davis, because he's at parity more or less on the table, and his hand's great.
In comes Kalidas, pass the turn back. Briksza will draw. Stasis Snare. Here's an attack for 4. Rudy have a spell he's going to play. Nope. So he head back over to Jim.
That Stasis Snare was a great draw there for Rudy. The obvious level is handling the Kalidas, but he needed to draw an instant. To overwhelm Davis's hand, he needs to go spell on your turn, untap spell on my turn.
So here's a Ruinous Path, a Stasis Snare.
And this is potentially really bad news for Davis here, because he could have gotten rid of the Thalia straight away. Now the Void Shatter in his hand is off the table. He can't fight over the Kalidas. He can't follow over Briksza's play.
Yeah, the biggest problem there is I think Jim was assuming that a Sunken Hollow was going to enter the battlefield untapped. It doesn't. And now if Rudy has a big follow-up, which is Nissa, which I think is big enough.
Just a hard card to track and remember. Thalia trips up people all the time. People put their lands into play untapped, their creatures into play untapped against it all the time, because that's how it happens over 99% of the time. You do that in Magic.
So now Davis is going to have to try to overcome the Nissa that's on the battlefield here. Here's an attack for 1. Nissa will pump out another plant token. Now it looks like a Lambholt Pacifist. Hey, he's got to use Confirm here.
Yeah.
He needs to be mana efficient.
And he needs to start pulling ahead here on cards also.
Briksza has drawn land number 5 off for sacrificing the Clue, plays the Plains, pass the turn back. Jim will sacrifice his Clue. He'll draw. Didn't get a great look at it, but he will untap, and now he'll draw another card. It's a Glimmer of Genius to go along with a Grasp of Darkness and a Void Shatter.
And that land coming into play tapped is so punishing.
Enormous.
If he was able to either Void Shatter the Nissa or the Stasis Snare, this game looks very different.
Here's a main phase Glimmer. Scry 2. Disallow is one of them. I don't hate that. Yeah, he's going to take both. Okay. Play a swamp. Pass the turn back.
A little surprised that a land is good enough here for Davis to take. I know he was missing his land drop that turn, but with all the clues in play, you're going to be looking at a lot of cards over the next couple of turns.
There's a Gear Hulk. That's not resolving. It's just how do you want to counter. He's going to go with Void Shatter, which will exile it. This is going to tick down. Counters are going to be spread around. Now there's an attack for 2, 3, 4. Davis will untap. He'll draw. That's the one he needs.
There we go.
That's the one he needs.
Trumps the battlefield, and he can play it with some backup.
Yep. Needed a Kalitas, and he found it. He's got 3 in his sideboard, yeah? 2 in his sideboard, 1
in the main,
yeah.
yep.
He's going to start by sacrificing a clue. Choked Estuary. A little surprised he started by sacrificing a clue. Maybe he doesn't feel like he's underneath that much pressure, though. And this is going to tick down again. Here's an attack for 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. Jim really going to fall down to 4 here? It's going to grasp. Okay.
Yeah, the sequencing is a little odd to me because I kind of want to have the Kalitas in play and then start casting removal spells.
That's how I felt, too. Here's Gideon. Not going to let that resolve. Disallow will take care of that. Jim's going to untap. Draw. Swamp. Start by sacrificing a clue. Draw. Island. Yeah, I would have much rather had... If he doesn't sacrifice a clue, he plays Kalitas, has 4 mana available, which means he has Grasp plus Disallow.
Also, Rudy can't really attack.
Yeah, he just doesn't have a good attack. He gets to make another plant, sure, but he just doesn't have a good attack. There's Kalitas, and now he would have been able to grasp something to get a zombie token. I think the game changes a little bit. Now, you know, the shields are down. This is the scary thing. Yep, kill that. Jim doesn't really get a lot of value out of that. And now here's an attack for 4. Jim's going to fall down 3. And there's no coming back when he's only got 2 lands in his hand. Yeah. And there's not a card that exists.
And we can go all the way back to that land because that Nissa has generated so many threats and so much power on the table.
Yeah, Torrential Gear Hulk.
Of course. Jim with the look of someone who just wanted to be put out of his misery on his last turn.
Yep.
And now it's, okay.
Well, it's enough to play another turn.
Right. Yep. So the best draw on the deck. If it's not, I mean, if this isn't good enough, nothing is, right?
Yeah. There's a swamp. It is the actual best card he could have drawn. There's a Gideon.
And Rudy doing this because even if Jim goes, all right, Torrential Gear Hulk back a counterspell, minus the Ajani, get rid of the Torrential Gear Hulk, counters on the Nissa, he's good.
Mm-hmm.
Counters through the Nissa onto the plants.
Yeah, I think you just let this resolve. If I'm Jim, I feel like I got to get so lucky to win this game anyway. I have to let this go and probably hope Rudy makes a mistake.
What's even the mistake that's here for Rudy to make is now the question.
Well, cashing and getting it for an emblem might be one.
Well, Rudy's got a lot of leftovers here.
No doubt about it.
He can still Ajani to get rid of the Torrential Gear Hulk after the fact. Plus and make another plant.
Yep.
Gets across, however much damage this turn. 4. I mean, this is the best case scenario here for Davis on that draw step, and I think Rudy's still relatively safe.
I still think he's in really good shape. No question. I guess I just don't like a Gideon emblem as much as making a 2/2 and having that around to attack as well. This is Fatal Push and Torrent. Okay.
Oof.
Like, Jim has to get lucky, but it's possible. Push there. He takes 1, goes down to 5. Now, if Johnny wants to clean this up, sure, but that's also an Ajani that's off the battlefield. And I believe Jim's the one that gains the life with Ajani unyielding. Yeah, so he goes up to 10. Top couple of cards.
Yeah, I mean, if the path here was going to involve, I'm going to have to minus my Johnny post-combat, then that makes a lot of the sequencing of just trying to push through a bunch of damage much worse.
Yeah, and like in that instance, I'd rather have Gideon on the battlefield, like attacking.
Right.
Jim will draw. He's going to play his land. I know he is, yeah. Probably just best for him to play his land.
I mean, but now I think Rudy's just down to regular Magic cards.
That's getting confirmed.
Jim's at 10.
Yep.
The biggest thing on the battlefield. 3 more clues coming. Like we're way back into this now.
Sack a clue. He can sack all 3 clues right now. Glimmer of Genius is what he drew. Yeah, I like doing that.
We are going
energy.
All the way up here.
Those lands are getting out of here. Hit 1, hit 2. At least an island. Didn't get a great look at the second one. He's going to quickly untap. You see the time, about 8:30 left.
And you can see, Jim had the body language of someone beat, and he knows he might be above 50% to win the game at this point. I think the issue here with Rudy's line was, even if he Torrential Gear Hulks a counterspell or a removal spell, I still have him covered over the next 2 turns. I don't know if he had the consideration of, what if Jim gets back Glimmer of Genius and hits running perfects for 1,000,000 turns, which is what's ended up happening.
Which is totally possible. Here comes Gear Hulk.
Jim had to get lucky, but he also knew he had to get lucky. That's the line he took.
Well, he played it in a way that he could get lucky.
Right, exactly.
If you ignore, like, the land thing with Thalia played a huge role in getting to this point, and outside of that mistake of not killing the Thalia first and then playing the land, like, he's played a smooth game.
Yes. What if he Torrential Gear Hulks into a removal spell and another Gear Hulk, and what does that look like? And should I be taking a different line?
Here's a Glimmer. Murder among those cards. Jim's got more energy. There's Tracker. Jim looking at negate, push, murder, a lot of good stuff. So just a second Tracker. Murder's going to take care of the first Tracker. And Davis is going to quickly untap. Draw. Swamp. I mean, he needs, if I'm being honest, he needs to just keep drawing Gear Hulks.
Yep.
That's what he needs to do. He's got all the mana in the world to work with. How does he want to use his Gear Hulks? That's the question. I think he needs to keep putting pressure, yeah.
Whoa.
Gideon Emblem.
I know, but this is still a pretty gutsy block.
Play land pass. Draw. Declaration. Well, he's going to start here with Pacifist. Make a plant. Nope. Negate. I think Jim's a favorite now. If he runs like if he finds a card drawing spell, is that another Fatal Push, I think?
Well, he has to be wary of Nissa going ultimate.
For sure.
That's the concern.
Well, he's got to keep checking that with the Gear Hulks now. And I think what he can do is he can say push there, go after this. You can chump block it with 1, or you can just let it go. He's just going to let it go. Rudy draws a land this turn, which oh my goodness.
What a comeback.
What a comeback indeed. Jim Davis is going to win this match here over Rudy Briksza. 2-1. Blue-black control going to take care of green-white tokens. And outside of that, minor misstep there by Jim with the Sunken Hollow. That was an expertly played game.
Yeah. And when we got to Rudy's turn, I was kind of, I think, in the same mindset of that Rudy was at, which